what I'm about to show you is real. This is not a joke, and it's not a parody. This promotional video of an Israeli weapon, I mean, I'm speechless. Just look.
Elbit Systems presents Lanius Search and Attack in One. New, innovative, autonomous, lethal solution. The Lanius is equipped with AI technologies that allows navigation to building, scanning the building to identify openings, scanning and mapping, object avoidance, enemy detection and classification, target incrimination by human and lethality. The system indemnifies blocked openings and can perform ad hoc lethal ambush.
I love how there has to be a man just yelling incoherently in Arabic, you know, to make you understand this is a terrorist. He's a baddie, right? Oh, look, the bad Arab.
Lanius, search and attack in one.
So you can see the logo. It says Elbit Systems. Guess what country runs Elbit Systems? This is an Israeli company, right? They have plants in England, which is, a disgrace, immeasurable beyond words. The fact that these murderers and disgusting companies are allowed to operate in England. They also market a lot of their weapons and call them battle tested. And what they mean by battle tested is that they have used them in Palestine against Palestinians, right? And so now, of course, you can see that they have a new suicide drone. And wow, I mean, this is really what the world needs. They're, well done. Truly contributing to humankind. What am I supposed to say? I mean, you guys really I bet some of you still think this is a parody or somebody made this up. It's not made up. I swear to God, this is a real thing. You have, I thought Terminators weren't supposed to come around for quite a while, but no, they're here, and they kill people randomly shouting in Arabic, so you know that this guy's a terrorist, right? Jesus Christ. I mean, this is sick. This is sick behavior. This is absolutely sick. And these drones that they use against Palestinians, they build them in the United Kingdom, and among other things. And they have several plants that are spread out, across Britain. And so not only is this stuff used against Palestinians and to maintain the occupation, but also they make money from it. And you have to keep in mind this is no different than Pegasus, right? That's also a tool that is used against Palestinians, but it's also something to make money with. And the Israelis, they have an extensive and elaborate military-industrial complex that is quite similar, not necessarily in size, but in nature, it's quite similar to the American one. But I would argue it's even worse, which is really saying something, given how unforgivable and unrelenting the military-industrial complex in the United States is. Like, imagine how bad that is. The Israeli one is even worse, because the Israelis, they are actually using this to sustain the existence of Israel itself, the European colony known as Israel. And of course, they make money, right? So I don't need to tell you, of course, that this has a million and one ways to go wrong. They say in the advert, in the promotional video, that it has enemy recognition and classification. What does that mean? Are you I hope it works, right? I hope you classify Palestinian children as terrorists and Palestinian journalists, right? Can we count on you to do that? Splendid. Jolly good show up, boy. When the Israelis say enemy classification, I would, I'd start sweating bullets, no pun intended, because you don't know what the hell that even means. Everything, everyone, and anything that moves is a terrorist to them. So, but you and I, we know who the real terrorists are. The Israelis went into Nablus, which is, again, this is in the West Bank, not to be confused, of course, with Jenin, which is, I know you might be confused because it happened 2 days ago, and that was already, a giant massacre. They completely destroyed Jenin, but Nablus is in the West Bank, and they shot dead 2 men. I mean, look at the door. I think the door speaks for itself. It's just riddled with bullets. Riddled. Talk about, the Israelis calling themselves, we are the most moral army in the world. Yeah, okay. Nobody condemns them for invading the West Bank, invading Jenin, invading Nablus. And again, even if you accept this partition plan of 1947, sorry, but this is Palestine. So every single time the Israelis go in there, that's an invasion, right? I don't know why BBC and all of them, they're so clear-minded and cut and dry with their language when they talk about Ukraine. But when it comes to Palestine, they just can't seem, they can't seem to get it right. And they always talk about, well, Israel has a right to defend itself. No, it doesn't, because it's in Palestine. And also, I don't see you talking about the Russians' right to defend themselves, do you? So anyway, they killed, I'm going to start calling these death squads, because what else, I mean, how else could you describe this, right? You have columns of vehicles driving into a refugee camp like Jenin and shooting people dead, bombing them with planes, bombing them with drones, helicopters, tanks, you name it. Are these not death squads? Because every week or every second week, they just send in these columns, they murder people, and then they go back out. These are death squads, and I will refer to them as such. So these Israeli death squads went into Nablus yesterday, and they killed 2 men, okay? Hamza Maqboul and Khairi Shahin. So they were shot dead, and then a third Palestinian, Abdel Saleh, was shot in a village near Ramallah, which is also in the West Bank. The Nablus raid was described by some locals as an invasion, according to Al Jazeera correspondent Alan Fisher. Okay, so they raided the city in search of 2 men, one considered to be affiliated with Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade, and I think the other one was with the PFLP, I don't recall, but they'll come and tell you, well, they were terrorists. They were militants. Once again, this is supposed to be Palestine under international law, so everybody with a gun is not a terrorist just because you want them to be terrorists. You are. You're the one invading. You're the one coming in. Palestinians have every right to defend themselves, whether they're throwing rocks or nuclear missiles, right? To kind of get the point across. Listen to this question. So this is a journalist asking Guterres, who's the UN Secretary General, whether Palestinians need a protection force. Look at what he says. Look at how he responds.
Secretary General, 3 special rapporteurs today have accused Israel of possible war crimes in Jenin for actions that amount to egregious violations of international law and standards of use of force. Does that square with what you have described today in terms of the attacks on hospitals, on infrastructure, civilian infrastructure? Do those attacks amount to war crimes? And yesterday, Palestine's ambassador again talked about the need for an international protection force. Is this something you can endorse? Do Palestinians need an international force to protect them from Israel?
I don't think it's realistic to think that we can have a military force sent to Israel. I don't think the Israeli government would consent on that possibility. But I think we need to find mechanisms to allow for the protection of civilians in these dramatic circumstances. Thank you very much.
It's quite the non-answer. Mechanisms. Pretty much all the UN does, unfortunately. I don't think the Israelis would consent. By the way, in Jenin, which she was just talking about, the Israelis managed to also shoot up a UNRWA, so the UN Relief Agency, one of the offices or schools that they use. I don't remember what it was, but it's just like typical. Every time they go in, whether it's in Gaza or, pick any one of the operations that they've run, they always end up damaging UN buildings, vehicles, or killing UN personnel. Not every single time, but they do it often enough that there's a clear, culture of bullying the United Nations peacekeepers, whether it's in Lebanon or it's in Syria or UNRWA in Palestine. This is why Palestinians take things into their own hands, because no one is helping them. And that's not true, because they are being helped by Iran, by Lebanon, by Syria, by Yemen. The Israelis, they can make as many suicide drones as they like. But what did we see 3 weeks ago when they went into Jenin? They were incapable of doing anything. And even a few days ago, yes, they laid waste to Jenin, but they still had to, in the end, they had to withdraw. They were kicked out. They couldn't complete their mission, their stated goal of uprooting the fighters. You can't uproot the fighters. You're the one creating the fighters and watering them, and watering the soil, to use a terrible analogy. Yeah, you know what I mean, right? So Israel is responsible for any so-called militants or terrorists that they keep whining about. When you keep behaving like this, you make people hate you, because this is hateful behavior. I don't know what you expect. It's they think that they can just crush people. It's not going to work. Remember that the Israelis have come to Palestine. The Palestinians are from Palestine. So in the end, only one of them is going to fight harder, because they have nowhere else to go. Palestinians have nowhere else to go, and they shouldn't need to go anywhere else. And their will to fight and to survive and to keep the land is always going to be stronger. So even if Israel has the technological upper hand for now, they're on a losing streak. And I've told you this before, because all their attempts to weaken Hamas, to weaken the PIJ, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, all of the factions in the West Bank, they failed, right? You got the Lions, you got the Jenin Brigade, you have the Sari al-Quds. These guys are stronger than ever. Hezbollah is stronger than ever. Syria is, still in chaos, but PIJ, for example, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, where's the headquarters? In Damascus, in Syria. And Iran, of course, supporting them, Yemen. They've only gotten stronger. So Israel's policies and behavior doesn't work. It just doesn't work. They failed to achieve any of their objectives, and they have no moral standing. And the results really speak for themselves. So they bulldozed Jenin, but just because they are able to cause more destruction doesn't mean that they're winning. Do you understand? I just want to end on this note. The French in Algeria, they annexed Algeria, right? They not only colonized it, they annexed it. They made it part of France. And even though it took 150 years, in the end, the French were kicked out. 1.5 million of them, if I recall correctly, had to flee home. They ran away, and they ran back home where they came from. You cannot win on somebody else's turf, on somebody else's home turf. You're always going to lose. And they unfortunately 1.5 million Algerians were killed fighting the War of Independence. But in the end, they lost, and the Israelis, it will be no different with them. They will have to go back to where they came from, because they are colonizers. You can't win. You can't win against the Palestinians.